Before we let you go, you're a problem solver. You look for big problems and you want to find solutions. We're starting to see some of your peers, I'm thinking Ray Dalio of Bridgewater Associates, Salesforce's Mark Benioff, come out and say the current capitalist system is broken. So using that problem solver mentality, Steve, how would you advise that we fix it?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that as a result of a Fed study done 2 years ago, that 40% of Americans, the Fed said, couldn't write a $400 check in an emergency. So what that means is this 40% of the population basically doesn't have savings. And they are having a really, really tough time, which is why our politics has become poisonous, because we've got a large percentage of our population that's not doing well. And I think you have to address that. First, you have to provide more money for these people. And I think there are a lot of different policy approaches. I think a good place to start is to increase the minimum wage up to $15. This is actually a tax on the business community, right? Because you're taking profits away from them to give them to workers. That takes care of significantly increasing money for 15% of the population. But what happens is the people who used to be getting more than the minimum wage, they have to be boosted up when you're close to doubling. So this ends up affecting somewhere around 35% of the population. And it's got lots of knock-on effects. That's the first thing. But capitalism isn't broken per se. What's been broken is our educational system. So when I was younger, which apparently was a long time ago, but I didn't get the word on it, that the US was one of the top 2 or 3 education systems in the world. We've now fallen somewhere between number 25 and 30, and in math, we're solidly in the 30s. If you're producing a workforce that is dramatically inferior to competitors on the global scale, we're going to have a lot of trouble. I was just in China a few weeks ago, and I was meeting with one of the top few people in their government, and he was telling me, he said, you know what we're going to do in education? We spent an hour on education. And he said, we're going to require that every student in China take computer science. And I'm sitting there going, OMG. In the United States, we probably have 5% of our primary and secondary students taking computer science. It is not capitalism that's broke. Imagine we're competing with a country where everybody is computer literate and we've got hardly anybody. This is not a recipe for long-term success. And it's not about capitalism. We have to put the best possible individuals and training on the playing field. That's how you win the game. And we're just not doing what we need to do in that area. And if you deliver those people to a workforce, you're really disadvantaged. So I have a slightly different take. These are government issues, by the way. They're not business issues. But there are a lot of things that business can do to help train people. We have to do that. We have to make sure that students who aren't necessarily on a college track do stuff like they do in Germany, where the business community trains those people for real jobs, takes them on board, and gives them good careers. So we have a lot of levers that we can play with to have better outcomes for the people in the country, and we have to do that. This is not optional.
Well, you know what I think? These sound like generational opportunities. Stephen Schwarzman, CEO of the Blackstone Group, thank you so much for joining us at the Yahoo Finance All Market